Amen. If you would put your Let's Connect card in there as they're passing around. And if you have a Bible, want to follow with me, we're going to be in the book of Proverbs. We're in a series called Wisdom Hunter. Wisdom is something that if you don't hunt it, you will not find it. It's kind of like fishing. If you've ever fished and caught a snook, it didn't just jump in the boat. And it doesn't just, whoops, I caught one on the line. It's just, you got to have the right bait, the right spot, the right time. You got to know what you're doing, or it's really an accident. And wisdom is like that. Wisdom doesn't just come because you sit beside somebody that's wise. It doesn't come because you watched a TED Talk. Wisdom doesn't come because you somehow are really bright and smart. I know people that know multiple languages, have PhDs, they lack wisdom. God's wisdom. And so we're in this series, and so it's something you're going to have to go after. We're reading a chapter a day out of Proverbs. There's 31 chapters. We're following the days of the week. Today is chapter, this side's awake. This side I'm a little worried about. Today is chapter, because today's date is the, wow, that's amazing. And tomorrow, what chapter would we read? Wow. They've got smart since we've been gone. I heard Jason did a great job. Something must have happened. People were like, text me, don't come home, stay away. And that was just, I was just really pretty sad about that. So we did stay away. And so keep it up, man. I told Jason the bad news is you set the bar high. I said, next time they're going to expect something better. And, it's bad when you outdo the regular pastors. It's just, you don't do that. You got to shoot under, and that way you're always got room to grow. Now he's got nowhere to go. I feel like we're done. We're done. We're going to go fishing next week. We'll be out. We'll bless you guys. We'll send an email, tell you we love you. And no, just kidding. But we are proud of him. He did do a great job. And that makes us feel really good. And we're blessed. And we got a great team. And pray for Pastor Charles and his wife. I'm pointing over here because he was there, but he's always somewhere bouncing around. He's with the middle schoolers. But he and his wife are going on vacation. His wife's from Mexico. And they're going to Mexico. So a little, it's not the best times in the world to necessarily travel and be a gringo in Mexico. So pray for him and let him have a great time while they're away and be refreshed. So we're in this series on Wisdom Hunter. Proverbs loves the contrast. We talked about the wise and the foolish. We talked about the righteous and the wicked. This morning we're going to talk about the diligent and the sluggard. Now, that word sluggard, it just scares, the last thing you ever want to be called is a sluggard, whatever that means. And I know we don't use that in our vernacular, in our culture anymore, but we use words like what? What are our words for sluggard? Let me see a hand. What are our words? Lazy. What else? Someone a hand. Let me see a hand. Yes, ma'am. What is it? Loser. Yeah, over here, Rick. Slackard. That's a McFly. Hello. Slackard. What else? What would he use? What's the other word? In Espanol for Jose. Don't go to your wife. You can. What do you call that worker that's not working good, Jose? Are you Jose? No. Okay, Jose. Perezoso. I wanted that word. I know there's multiple words in Spanish, but I like that one. Perezoso. What is it? I like perezoso. It just got that sting to it. It's like sluggard. Perezoso. I don't know what it means, but don't call me perezoso. Perezoso. We had two ladies got baptized Thursday night that said, no more perezoso. They were Spanish. And that's literally at the end of the message. They said, no more perezoso. No more sluggard. No more. Listen, he's going to contrast these two people. And I know, let's just go through it some. We're going to go through a bunch of Proverbs. Chapter 13:4. We'll start there. It says, the sluggard craves and gets nothing. Oh, just say it with, oh, why is he getting nothing? Because he's doing nothing. That's how God designed the world. If you do nothing, you get nothing. They're not going to knock on the door and say, you won the sweepstakes. They're not going to chase you down with a lotto. That's fantasy land. You're a sluggard. You do nothing, you're going to get nothing. It says, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. In other words, there is a blessing on working hard. Now, go with me to chapter 21. There's a blessing of taking care of your land. Genesis. Proverbs 21, verse 25. It says, The sluggard's craving will be the death of him because his hands refuse to work. All day long he craves for more, but he's got nothing to give. But it says, but the righteous give without sparing. Why does he have nothing to give? Because he's doing nothing. That's what a sluggard is. It's somebody that's just lazy, expects other people to do everything for them, and they've not learned to make their own bed. They're just lazy, and that their desires will kill them. Why? Because they never get met. They crave and crave, and this time they get bitter, and they get, why is not me? They start stealing, they start getting, because why? Other people have stuff. Why? Because they worked and got it. I don't ever fault people that have done well and have finances. I don't judge them. Well, they're greedy. Listen, I've met poor people that are extremely greedy. And I've met rich people that are extremely generous. And I've met rich people that got rich because they were inherited it, or they were scoundrels to get it. And I know poor people that work really hard that are still poor. So it's not about being poor isn't being lazy. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't mean, in our culture, you'd like to think how as hard as you work is as much as you'll get success. It doesn't work that way in our culture. We have a lot of brokenness, a lot of inequity, a lot of injustice in our culture. But there is a sense, and turn to chapter 28. There is a sense that hard work brings a blessing. Now, chapter 28 of Proverbs, verse 19. It says, he who works his land will have abundant food, but the one who chases fantasies will have his fill of poverty. How hard is that to learn? The kids, Bitcoins. Everybody buy Bitcoins. Everybody get in on it, get Bitcoin. And again, some of it may work. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure all that out. But I know usually if it's easy to get rich quick, it's usually illegal or going to get you in deep doo-doo. That's what I know. Now, I could be wrong, but I can give you hundreds of examples of where I'm right. Now, I had two friends that walked into the first Home Depot. One friend said, man, I'm going to get some amazing power tools. And the other guy looked around and said, I'm buying stock. The one guy's still cutting lumber. The other guy's living on some island somewhere with a lot of money. I get it that there's wise investing and there's things, but I want you to know that work is the way that God designed us to take care of our needs. And if you don't work your land, you're not going to reap the harvest. If you don't sow, you're not going to reap. And that's what his warning is to the sluggard. Now look in chapter 26, verse 13. And this is why it's so hard in 13 and 14, chapter 26. It says, the sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men. Let me read 15 first. Let me actually go back to verse 14. I'm going to go all the way to 13. Let's get them all. Proverbs 26:13. The sluggard says, there's a lion. This is a middle schooler right here. There's a lion in the road. A fierce lion roaming the streets. I couldn't go to school. Now, I'm telling you, if you raised a teenager, you had more excuses than you had excuses when you're dying. Listen, this sluggard is in all of us in one way or another. If you don't find yourself this morning at the end of this, then you're this guy right here. So, when you get through the message, nothing touched me. It didn't apply. I'm diligent. There's no sloth in my life. You're this guy right here. You're filled with excuses. You're like it says in verse 14, you're like the door that turns on its hinges, so the sluggard turns on his bed. I love the look at verse 15. The sluggard buries his hand in the dish. Oh, he just can't get it to his mouth. Now, come on. Is that a sluggard or what? I got the chicken leg in my hand, but that's just too much work. Honey, would you chew it for me and put it in my mouth? Now, get the humor. There's humor here, but it's sad humor. It's satire. It's meant to slap you. Nobody can be that lazy. Yeah, they are. They get worse because they're lazy. They still want, so they steal from you. I don't have what you have. You work to get it, but I'm going to get what you got. And we got a whole culture growing up that doesn't believe that they need to work for stuff. The government needs to take care of them. Other people need to take it. It's nobody. I'm blessed that I was raised by a father. I'll never forget. It's burned in my mind. It's Saturday morning. It's 8 a.m., which in a teenager's life, I was probably 13 or 12 at the time. 8 a.m. on Saturday is like 3 in the afternoon. I'm in my bed. I live in a 2-story home. And upstairs, my window overlooks the driveway. I hear this. It's a Sarlo motor. How many of you know Sarlo? Anybody grow up in Fort Myers had a Sarlo? Sarlos are the best motor. I don't know if they kept being good, but when I was a kid, they were made locally. They were just the most amazing. Second pull. Second pull. I'm out of bed. I can't breathe because I know it's my dad in the driveway pulling the motor. I know he has no intentions of mowing that grass. He has never mowed that yard. I mowed my yard since I was 6 years old. I couldn't see over the sorrow. I had to start the motor by putting both feet behind the motor and pushing with my feet, pulling the thing so I could start it. I had my own yard business at 9 years old. I would literally go mow people's, by the time I was 12, I pulled my mower behind me on my bike. I would mow people's yards that were high grass without asking them. They'd see this little punk kid just mowing their yard. And they'd come out, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm just mowing your yard. I'm not giving you anything. I don't want anything. I lied. So I'd mow the yard. I'd get done. They'd give me $3. $3 back then meant to a 12-year-old kid. I had my own yard business. I had my neighbor's yard. I started mowing it when I was 10 or 11 years old. He paid me $12. I don't know what that'd be comparable to now, but as a 10, 11-year-old, $12 was like getting $1,200 today. I don't know what the inflation. I'm telling you, it was like Mac Daddy money because all my other yards were $2 and $3. I had $12. Here's the thing. It was a retired attorney. His name was Fred Miller. Retired attorney, Fort Myers. I'll tell you how bright Fred is and how stupid I was. I started mowing it at $12 at the age of 12. At the age of 18, I was still mowing his grass for $12. I never thought about asking for more. I was still happy that it was $12 back then, and he was happy to let me mow his yard for $12. Listen, there's a blessing on being diligent, and I was raised to be diligent. My dad raised me, if you don't do it, you can't expect someone else to do it for you. And there's a blessing in the scriptures on diligence. But the sluggard, verse 16, is wise in his own eyes than 7 men who disagree. You can't help someone that's just stubborn in their laziness. There's a lion out there. They got more excuses why I can't. I dealt with a guy, we feed a lot of people in this church on Thursday night that don't deserve getting fed. But there's many a time I've had a meal when I didn't deserve that meal. Not because of physical things, but because of spiritual things. We don't vet people. We feed people that just blew their last dollar on a bottle of wine. We feed people that just hit the crack pipe and whatever it is today, opiate, they're addicted. We feed people because it's mercy. And we try to help them get out of it. But what we have to learn is God has mercy, but that doesn't approve of behavior. And people have more excuses that why they can't work or why they can't do anything and why they're a victim and why they're wiser and they're on there's a lion and I couldn't there's fears, there's a lion. So what does God do? What's his solution? Chapter 6, he takes them to school. And this is God's school. I love this about the Lord. His sense of if you don't find humility, you ain't going to learn wisdom. So what's he tell this person wise in his own eyes? Chapter 6, verse 6. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Now, come on. He says, go find an ant pile. I mean, he's going to pick the lowliest, weakest, stupidest, brain the size of a sand. I don't even know. Do they have a brain? I don't know. Ants. He says, go study an ant pile, you sluggard. Consider its ways, and you might learn something. Verse 7, he has no commander. No overseer, and they're not like bees where there's a queen bee and she rules the house and tells them what to do. Ants got nobody. They're self-governed. This is the beginning of wisdom. When you lay in bed and realize if you don't get up, no one's going to get up for you. This is the day you realize if you don't go to work, ain't nobody going to send you a check. This is the day you wake up and realize if I can't control myself, I need to be in a place where others will control me. This is the day you wake up and say, I can't wait on my mama to do it. I can't wait on my daddy to do it. I can't wait on my wife. I've got to go do it myself. This is what diligence is. Watch the ant. Watch what they do. They know, look what it says. No one tells them, verse 8, it stores up provision for the summer and gathers food for the harvest. You know, we were gone. We went to Alaska on a cruise. I mean, it was a working cruise. We were Convoy of Hope. It was working. We still had a blast. Wearing a jacket in July is supernatural. I mean, there's just something of having to put on warm clothes. What my son-in-law, being the kind man that he is, he came by the house to check on something. I don't know what it was. But he said, I'll turn your air on. I'm thinking, no, because we had this thermostat that we inherited that's more complicated than an Apple computer. I mean, it's just like some high tech. You can have every zone, every blah, 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 blah. I've only learned how to override it. I don't even know how I override it. But I override it and get it on some kind of hold that I override the thermostat. And that way I can manually do it. But then if you touch it, it's done. Well, he touched it. He didn't know that, but he touched it. And I thought, we'll get home to a nice, cool home. Isn't that nice to come home to a nice, cool home? Well, I come home, I walk in the door. I can't breathe. It's 3,000 degrees. It's like the heat's been on. I've been in Alaska. I'm home. It's 99 degrees out. My wife, we're so exhausted. It's like 2 in the morning. She's like, just don't worry. It'll set it down. And so I bump it down. I figured I bump it. I lay down. By 4 in the morning, I feel like an egg on a skillet. I'm just like, shh. My wife is gone. She's just glad to be home. It was a working trip for her. We got to do people. And that's for her personality. It's a drain. For me, it's a small price to pay to get to go to Alaska. So anyway, I'm in there. I'm like, I get up. I make her get out of bed. It's 4 in the morning. It's 90 degrees in the house. I'm like, it's just unbelievable. So anyway, the AC, I've been living in fear of that puppy going out. I mean, because I walked by it. When I first bought the home, someone said, you better get a new AC. That thing's about done. Well, that was 2 years ago. I pray over that thing. I pray for that. I walk by it. I said, God bless. I hear it. When it comes on, it goes. It wakes up the whole neighborhood. Neighbors probably hate me. Sounds like a chainsaw, but it runs. So come to find out, I got a guy there the next day. And I had him put in. He said, you want to take off? That's an expensive thermostat. I said, put the cheapest one you got on there that just goes up and down. That's all I want. Hot, cold, up, down. Jerk that sucker. Oh, he said it wasn't the thermostat. You didn't do anything. It was some other, some electron. It was a $200 bill. The guy could have got me for my next grandchild. I would have given him, I gave him a tip. He goes, I don't need a tip. I said, yeah, buddy, you could have charged me 5 times this. Jose, don't listen to him. He could have charged me 5 times this amount because it's Saturday. My wife and I, we haven't slept. We've been in Alaska. It is 3,000 degrees. Let me tell you something. I got our IRS check back. Thank God for his mercy. And I did what this ant does. It says, verse 8, it stores up its provision in summer and gathers its food for harvest. I took that IRS check. Yeah, we'd like to do 9 different things with it. You know what I did with it? I put it in a savings that says AC on it. And we're putting money. Because that puppy is on, and I could pray over it till Jesus comes. I could bless it. I can pray over it. I can anoint it. But that puppy's going. I could just feel it. And they never go out in April, do they? Whoever had an AC go out in April? You don't use your AC in April. How do you know it went out? Don't ruin a story with facts. I can't, just because that's your story. Your AC goes out on Saturday night in the crack of summer in August. That's the only time it goes out. When you need it. So the ant knows. If you don't put some aside, you're not going to have that AC. You're not going to have an AC. Listen, ants are smart. So listen, he says there's a cure for sluggards. Go listen to the ants. Watch the ants. They're weak. They're feeble. They're stupid. They're imbeciles. They get up and they do what they're supposed to do, and they don't rely on other people to do it for them. They don't get their reward before they work. They work and then they get their reward. They save for the coming summer. They save in the harvest. They save for the coming winter. Now, most of us in this culture, you've sat and listened to this more thought of people that you wish could have heard this sermon than thinking that you needed it. Because we have a pretty diligent culture. We tend to, in our culture, it's self-disciplines. And in this church, It self-disciplines people that just want to be slackers. They want to live off other people. They want to be spiritual leeches and mooches and just gimme, and unwilling to work. That doesn't last long in this church. It's got a self-governing, just a love. Let me love on you. Let me help you get work. Let me help you get out of this hole. We're not going to just buy your way out of your situation. And so our culture, most of you got that diligent part. You can grow in it. But you're pretty good. Now you're worrying about the millennials coming behind you. I get that. You're worried about the millennials. I worry about them too, but we raised them. Or I didn't. My kids aren't millennials. My kids are Gen Xers, or what are you? I have 3 daughters that just work. They just work. They're just diligent. And they married good men. I'm great. When you get daughters, you want 2 things out of a son-in-law. Somebody that loves Jesus and that works. 2 things. That's all I want. I used to have a list of 50 things. After going through several losers, I got down to 2 things. Love Jesus. One of my daughters, she's dating this kind of loser, and most guys are at that age, but he's a loser, and they're all losers. In fact, I hated all boys at that point. That's true. In fact, Christmas Eve, I'm sitting right over here, right where you're sitting, Doug, right there. And all of a sudden, this big Italian guy comes walking in. Christmas Eve, I'm dressed up. I've got to preach. I've heard about this guy. I hate him. Don't know him, and I hate him because he's a boy. Somebody lies to him and says, hey, Kelly's dad, the pastor, said he wants you to come sit by him. He's never been in this church before. Christmas Eve, they lie to him. And I don't know why. He comes up and goes, hi, I'm Christopher. I'm like, I don't care. What are you doing here? I don't even want you here, let alone sitting beside me. But he's sitting beside me. And I'm like, what ruined my whole Christmas Eve. I had to be nice. It's hard when you have to be nice, and you're the pastor. So my daughter's in this dilemma. I don't know which boy to go with because I got this one and I get this one and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, you got a bad back. If your back's not working good, hurting, and you can't go to work, I said, what's this one going to say? Well, this one's going to say, get off your boop and go get a job. That's what this one is going to say. I said, what's this other one say that sat by me on Christmas Eve? Well, he's going to go get another job. I said, and there's something to pray about here? You go with the one that works. That's what a dad says. And he has been, how many jobs? He has like 3 companies now that he runs just to take care of his wife. She's high maintenance, and I appreciate him. He works. What do you do for life? I work. What are you doing today? I'm going to work. What more do you want? He does my pool for free. That's a bonus. And I thought he broke my AC, but he didn't, and he was off the hook for that. I was so mad at him. He screwed with the thermostat. I know he meant well. Why did he touch the thermostat? I can't get it back on to work. Why? Why did he touch it? And it wasn't the thermostat. So it was my grandson that, did you do that, Gavin? You're probably smart enough to figure it out, the thermostat. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Go with me to the New Testament. Because most of you are like, whoo, this one really a little bit. I can tighten up here and there. But, you got the diligent thing down. Luke 10, only gospel writer that includes this story. I'm going to take a hard right turn here. I'm going to come around. I'm going to get you from behind. I set you up. Because you're good American capitalists, buddy. We believe we're concerned. We get work. You don't eat. Diligence. Get a job. Get a haircut and get a job. That's what my dad used to say. Get a haircut and get a job. That's we're raised. Our motors are running. Yeah. Go for that diligent. I'm gonna come on you now. It's gonna get. Hang on. Luke 10, 20, 38. Jesus and his disciples were on their way. He came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. Nice woman, kind, opened her home. When you open your home to Jesus, he brings a posse with him. I mean, he's got about 10, 11, who knows how many came piling in on her unexpected, 39. She had a sister called Mary who sat as the night went on. When you find her, she's sitting at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, Lord, don't you care? My sister, who's a loser, a slackard, didn't she read Proverbs? Go study the ant. My sister's left me. She didn't say all that, but the implication's there. My sister has left me to do the work by myself. Tell her. Can you imagine getting in the face of Jesus with that New York accent, shaking the finger? Tell her. I can't imitate a New Yorker, but tell her. You tell her right now. She's shaking that finger in the face of Jesus. How would you talk about bold? She's shaking that finger. Tell her to get up and get in here and help me. She's a sluggard. She's lazy. She's a sluggard. She's rebuking Jesus. Now, most of us, I'm telling you, if you're honest and you're an American and you read this story, you're with Martha. You're like, yeah, I mean, come on, justice, fairness. Isn't fairness our word? In my home growing up, fair was the F-bomb. You said, it's not fair. You literally, like you'd use the F-bomb. My mom would come unglued. That and saying crap. You couldn't say, forget the other words. You couldn't say crap, and you couldn't say it's not fair. To my mom, saying crap was dropping the F-bomb. Oh, and shut up. Those were the 3 worst words in the vocabulary. Forget F-bombs. You would have, if you said an F-bomb in my home, you would be unable to communicate for the next month. Some kid drop an F-bomb in his mom. Anyway, go on, get off that slope. Get off there, Jamie. Move on. There's people watching online. They're going to hold you accountable. You can lie to these people, but they're online. They're paying attention. Tell her to help me. What's Jesus do? Mary, get off your rear end. Get in the kitchen and be diligent. Work hard. Work hard. Work hard. If you don't work, you're not going to eat. Get up, you lazy sluggard. All you're doing is sitting at my feet, hearing my word and growing spiritually. No. Jesus says, Martha, Martha, you're worried and upset about so many things. Only one thing is really needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. I would suggest to you that the lazy person in this story, the sluggard, is the one that's working the hardest. Do you know that we often compensate for our spiritual laziness by physical activity? I'm going to confess to you, as your pastor, I'm a lazy pastor at times. I've been a lazy pastor over the years. In my laziness, I was so busy and I worked so outwardly, visibly hard, and people would see me, but they didn't see the laziness of me not taking care of my wife or family properly. Because I had nothing left to give to them because I chose to give everything to everybody else. And then on top of that, you start drinking because anxiety drives you because you're worrying about the church failing, and so the nervousness and the anxiety over what people think and feel and who's got offended this week and who's leaving the church this week. So 1, 2, 3 glasses of wine, they just make that wash away, so it becomes much easier to drink. You know why people drink? Because they like it. Hello. It tastes good when you acquire taste, and it relaxes you. And I'm relaxed. And I'm drinking, and I'm not doing the hard work of dealing with my issues. I'm like Martha. I'm banging the pots and pans in the church, and the church is really doing well. But my soul's not doing good. My marriage isn't doing good. I'm not doing the hard work of wanting to come home and deal with issues with my wife. I don't have the energy because I've got issues at the church. I've got people that don't like me. I got people that their marriages are falling apart. I'm worried about their marriage. I'm helping their marriage while my marriage is in trouble. See, it's easier to create a stir and a frenzy and be busy in doing, and that's just my nature. I do that. I'm a doer. I like to do. I'm not just a sitter. I like to go do stuff and then I like to sit. But I'm a doer. I'm an active person. That's just the way I'm wired. But I can take activity, can replace spirituality. And that's what happened with Martha. When you got Jesus in the home, you're not cooking. You're listening to his bread. You're letting him bake the fresh bread, the bread of life, that Mary's sitting there soaking in what women couldn't do back then, but Jesus allowed them. My wife pointed this out. She learned that the rabbis didn't let anybody come sit at their feet but their pupils that were males. This is a female at his feet, touching him, hearing him, being discipled by him, and he didn't chastise her. He welcomed her, complimented her, and said she's chosen the best part. I would just propose to you, some of you diligent hard workers, if you worked at your spiritual life the way you work to get a paycheck, what would you be like? Ouch. Yeah. Come on, be real. It's okay to know you're lazy. I know that to me, I'd rather you call me a pervert than call me lazy. Be lazy, it's not in my nature, but it is in my nature. I cover it because I don't qualify things I don't want to do that are hard work as lazy. That's just stuff I don't want to do, and it's hard work. I'm like, who's a lion in that marriage? It's not the lion in the street. It's the lion in the bed that's going to get you in trouble. It's the lies that he tells you why you don't have to be diligent to know God. You don't have to be diligent to find wisdom. You don't have to read a chapter a day in Proverbs. That's stupid. You don't have to get on your knees and pray. And that's the wife does that. You don't have to guard your heart and guard your mind and what you watch and what you look at on the. Yeah, that's just, I work hard. I need to relax. You don't have to guard your pleasures that can become your gods. You don't have to guard your drinking. You don't have to guard that. I don't have to guard that. Smoking a little pot. I mean, we need to relax. Come on. It's legal everywhere else. Legal doesn't mean it's right. Legal doesn't mean it's righteous. And when you find ways to get peace that skip Jesus, it's never a good thing. When it's like, yeah, I've got a great pleasure, peace, this relaxes me. Is Jesus involved in it? Not really, but it's a great, relaxing, whatever. Then no, it's not good. It's going to turn bad real quick somehow. And what can turn bad the worst is if nothing happens. And you just go on with life and you find your peace and your relaxation and your pleasure without Jesus, then you have no working, walking, loving relationship with Christ. It's like me serving, working hard, giving my wife, but my wife wants me. And she wants me to work hard, but she wants me. I've been blessed to be married to a woman that's a Mary, not a Martha. I've struggled with it in the past because she has such a grace to be able to say, Jamie, don't be driven by what people think about you. That's hard to do when you work in front of hundreds of people that have an opinion about you. You have no idea. Can you imagine if you went to work tomorrow and you had 600-700 bosses inspecting you? How you doing? They have an opinion about you. And they have an opinion about what you wear, how you cut your hair. People that notice you wore that shirt last week. I think you did. I'm all locked up inside. I can't remember. It's the only one that wasn't wrinkled. And it was clean. I had a guy notice. He's listened to me preach so long, and he always says, he noticed I had some kind of bump on my cheek that my wife didn't even know I had. And I'm like, really? Now I'm all paranoid. What is it? I don't know. It's some bump under my cheek. It's not a pimple. It's a big bump. It's like he noticed it because he's watched me so long. That's scary. And then the anxiety, I become Martha, make everybody happy. What do they think? And my wife has the grace to say, no, that's not good for our souls. We need to take some time off. I'm like, no, honey, we got. No, it's right. And she's done that over the years. She's 10 miles deep. She's not spread all over the place. And she's a pastor of diligence and a spiritual life that dwarfs mine. I'm busy. She's deep. Let me just help you. Deep outlast busy any day. You know how grace works? This is why so many people struggle with salvation. We struggle with salvation because we're wired to work and earn what we get. And grace is about receiving what you don't deserve and you didn't earn. And all you can do is do the hard work of receiving it, humbling yourself and saying, I need it. That's so hard. That's why this story, when you really, I almost felt guilty of judging Martha as being lazy. It's almost like there's nowhere to put that in my mind that a heart. Listen, we've had to fire people. Do you know as a church we fire volunteers? I've literally had pastors say, how do you do that? I said, let me show you how to do it. Well, you're not paying them, but you can still fire them. We've fired lots of volunteers. I've gone in that kitchen one time. It was the unhealthy situation years ago. And actually, I didn't do it. I sent my wife to do it. I was a coward. It's true. We told 5 grown adult men that they're fired from serving in the kitchen. And these guys did no pay. They washed dishes. They cooked. One of them was dealing drugs out the back door. But they never came to church. They never learned to sit and hear his word. They weren't us. And they were driving away healthy volunteers. And you know what we do on a regular basis? I say, Pastor Charles, I haven't seen so-and-so in your children's ministry in church. He said, I'm on it. I'm on it. We don't want to burn people out in the children's ministry that don't learn how to sit in here and receive the word of God. We don't want people to just say you're a phenomenal drummer. You can bang on the drum and it's phenomenal, but you don't come to church and just hang out in the lobby afterwards. No. Come into church. You put the drums up for a while, learn to sit down. And you know how hard that is to say when we die. If you're a drummer, you can get just about anything at the church. You can get the pastor's parking spot. You can give you, if I had one, but we'd give you, drummers are like, forget guitar players. We need drummers. Forget vocalists, worship leaders. We want drummers. Is there a drummer in here? Just by chance? He's a drummer. Move. God's calling you. I'm speaking it. Connecticut is a lost place. It's a barren land. Come to the fruitful land. I'm just messing with you. Well, we would welcome you if you came here. So that's the blessing of pastoring in Florida. You know, you got confidence that people are snowbirds that come down. I know someday warm is going to win. Warm is going to win. Grandkids, they're important, but warm is going to win. You can avoid the hurricanes. Warm will win. They will be here. I tell their pastors that in other churches that I know that they go to. I said, their tithe is going to end up at the Vineyard in Cape Coral. Why? How do you know it? Warm will win. Warm will win. Listen to me. Listen to me. I appreciate your diligence, and it's working hard is spiritual, honorable. To God, it's spiritual. I've said that. But also, spiritual growth is hard work. It's like marriage. It doesn't just, you don't say, my wife and I this year will celebrate 40 years of being married together. And she's worthy. I mean, it's been a tough road at times. It's been a wonderful road. But, you know, I'm just grateful because it's grace. And we've had to do the hard work. There's times I've had to get an engine rebuilt. You know, I got a new transmission in my heart. I've needed to, you don't just keep going. I got 100,000 miles in this puppy and I'll never change the oil. You're going to blow the motor up. You're going to blow your relationship up. It doesn't just happen. You don't make in this culture today, you don't make it 40 years. You just don't without the grace of God and do the hard work. Learn to sit at the feet of Jesus, which might be a counselor, which might be a friend, which might be getting prayer at the cross, which might be whatever that anthill is that you got to look at spiritually and say, those ants need to learn to teach me something about how to walk with Jesus, because I've got to learn how to have self-leadership. I've got to learn how to have discipline in my life. Great to go to the gym, but boy, I'm hard to go to the Word. And I'm telling you, listen to me. If you are a slackard in the natural, poverty comes like a thief, it says in the Bible. But let me help you here. If you're a slackard spiritually, there's a spiritual poverty that can capture your soul that is far more lethal than you screaming at someone that's on, move them off of welfare to work. Well, you're on spiritual welfare. You got to get off a welfare roll and get on the work roll. God's not against activity. I didn't finish the story. We fired people in the kitchen, and God gave us a healthy kitchen, a healthy environment, healthy people there. We don't want to use people just because they have gifts or can serve. We want people to be healthy spiritually and then serve. It's not about letting your activity or your serving take the place of your relationship with God. It's that is most important. It's love with Jesus, not what I did at the church. That's great, but it's what your soul needs with him. Don't be a slackard in worship. Some of you are worship slackards. You just are. You're like, sing again. They're singing that thing again. They trying to memorize the song. They've sang that same line. Now she's making up new words. I didn't see the words on the screen. Or the words up. Martha, did you see those words up there? He's everything to me. I didn't see them up. Why did they put them up there? It's work to learn to worship. So for some of you, you get it. But to learn to sit, to learn to listen, to learn to receive from the Lord, that's labor. That's work. Those are muscles that you're like, and you turn over and you're like, Listen, somebody calls you and says, hey, Saturday, let's go play golf. Got to be there at 7. Tee off's at 7. You're up at 4. But if someone said, hey, man, we got a men's prayer group going on, I'm going to stay in bed. Or I'm going fishing, I'm going on whatever it is. You can find the energy. It's like the guy that comes home, he's just too beat from work. He just can't do anything, can't give his wife anything. And a buddy calls, hey, we got a pickup game going on. We're going to shoot some hoops. Hey, I'm in. Where'd that energy come from? It came from the lazy guy coming out of his laziness to do what he wanted to do, but used his laziness like I did to keep from doing what she needed me to do. Spiritual diligence is doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, not counting on somebody else to do it for you. Okay, I think it. And listen to this whole message, and you walk out here thinking, wow, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. Man, I haven't failed. You've failed. You failed to listen to the Holy Spirit to challenge you to be a better person. Wisdom makes you be a better person, to do the hard work to be that better person. Not to feel bad about yourself. That's not the goal here. Martha had to learn about grace. It's not what you can do for Jesus. It's what Jesus will do for you. Martha learned it's not about achieving someone to say good job. It's receiving the one that did the good job for you, the one that died on the cross. So we're going to have a baptism. We had 2 Thursday night, got up, a Spanish mom and her daughter, and she said, no more perezoso, no more procrastinating. She'd been putting off getting baptized. No plan for it, got up, boom, got baptized. It's those things in life that you're putting off spiritually, getting baptized, following Jesus, doing the hard work spiritually, praying together with your spouse, doing the stuff that's like, this is hard. Yeah, that's why it's called work. Spiritual labor. You got the physical labor. Now apply those principles spiritually, and God will prosper you in amazing ways. Let's pray together. Maybe you're here today and you thought being a Christian meant you just worked hard for Jesus. And then, we do work hard, but we don't work hard to get him to love us. We work hard because he loves us. And we sit and listen to him, and he tells us what he wants us to do. If you're here and you've never had a relationship with Jesus, you thought it was about doing religious stuff or not doing bad stuff. And it's about receiving his gift. Stop your work and receive from him his gift. If that's you, just say a simple prayer. Say, Jesus, I need you in my life. Just ask him. Jesus, I need you in my life. Just ask him, invite him. Lord, come be the Lord of my life. Forgive my sins. Just invite him to come in. It's not your work. It's his that he did on the cross. It's finished work. He paid for our salvation. You've got to surrender and receive it. Just say yes to Jesus this morning. Father, bless this time of commitment and those that are getting baptized in Jesus' name. Amen. Before we invite those, they can come in, kids come in. Before we get those that are getting baptized, the kids are going to come in. If you're here and you prayed with me, don't let this be a day that you're lazy spiritually. If you need to take a stand for Jesus, let it be today that we ring the bell and you say, I say yes to Jesus as my Lord. The Bible says if you believe in your heart that Christ died for your sins, you should confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. And if that's you, I'm going to invite you to stand right where you are. The children get invited to do that every week upstairs. Many of them have done it. And some of those kids have done it and haven't gotten baptized. And parents, I put that on you to lead them in that direction. We've had classes, we have things for them, but we can't make you. And you can't make them if they want to get baptized. Not talking about today. They need to follow up next time, go to the class. And I know we have one that's getting baptized. So who needs to stand this morning? Maybe you're online listening. You can type them in and say, I say yes to Jesus, Lord. Go ahead. God bless you. God bless you. We ring that bell and celebrate. We say, welcome home. Good stand. Someone else. You want to take your stand? Yes, sir. Wait a second. Wait a minute. As what? As what in your life? As your Lord said. God bless you, man. Good job. There's a lot of Jesuses in the world. There's only one Lord Jesus. Good job. Welcome home. Someone else. Okay? Who's getting baptized today? Now, maybe you didn't plan on it, but you want it. I'm not talking about children. I'm talking about adults. You said yes to Jesus in your heart. You've not been baptized. Pastor Jason, Pastor Kim, Pastor Charles will be up here. Love to have you make your way up here. Those that are getting baptized can make your way. Right, who we got? I know we got a child, Elijah. You get baptized? Where's Elijah? Come on, buddy. You get baptized today? Good job, man. Come on. And we got a couple, give me 5, man. Give me 5. Good job. And do we have a couple more getting baptized? Who else? Okay. Who is it? Lily. All right. Been in this church since you were in your mama. How old was she, Andrea, when she started coming here? How old? Lily, when did you start here? How old? 4? Born. You were born Vineyard. Come on. She was born Vineyard. You were Vineyard before you were born. Good job, Andrea. Good job, Jeff. Good job. And who else? We got one more, don't we? Okay. You getting it? 2. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right, we'll start with Elijah. Elijah's going to lead us. If you don't feel weird about it, stretch out your hand as we're going to bless Elijah. Come on.
Elijah, because of your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, we baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You'll be buried like Christ was buried, and raised in the likeness of his resurrection. In Jesus' name.
Come on. Put the fire of Elijah. The fire of Elijah. Come on in, Lord. Let your fire be on it. Yes, Lord. Come on, Lily. Come on. Come on, we're going to pray for Lily now. Lily's get baptized. Come on, Jesus. Come on, all the way. Thank you, Jesus. Lord, set her free. Let your power come. Come, Jesus. Come, Lord. Let your healing be on her, Lord. Strength of Jesus. Put the fire of your kingdom in her soul, Lord. Come, Jesus.
Alone in my sorrow and dead in my sin, lost without hope with no place to begin. Your love made a way to let mercy come in. When death was arrested, my life began. Ash was redeemed, only beauty remains. My orphan heart was given a name. My mourning grew quiet, my fear was to dance. When death was arrested, my life began. Washes over me. You have made me new. Now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new. Now life begins with you. Release from my chains, I'm a prisoner no more. My shame was a ransom he faithfully bore. He canceled my debt and he called me his friend. When death was arrested and my life began. Come on, stand up. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new. Now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new. Now life begins with our Savior displayed on a criminal's cross.
Come on, church. Let's worship Him. Come on.
Darkness rejoiced as though heaven
Thank you,
had
Jesus, for your
lost.
death, Lord. Come on.
Washing over
That was church. That's church. Parents, these are yours. You have to come get them, okay? There's going to be people at the cross that love to pray for you. For some of you, be a step towards breaking spiritual laziness by coming and getting some prayer. You know who you need